What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the XRP price chart. As I'm sure lots of people have noticed that a lot of price action is going on over here following the news that the SEC has appealed the ruling in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. Price, of course, has taken a tumble since that came out yesterday afternoon, and I am sure a lot of people are looking for some clarity on what's going on with the price action, on whether or not this case is going to go on for years longer. Is this some final shakeout at the last minute? Well, those things are hard to determine in the thick of a moment, especially when things are moving very quickly. I will bring a message of optimism. I am going to show charts here in a second that will present that optimism. But I do also want to say we are in the thick of the moment. It has been less than 24 hours since then. There hasn't been some strong reaction off the floor. I sure would have egg on my face if things just tumbled crazily afterwards. So also take it that I am going through this moment with everybody else at the same time. A lot of us were here when the SEC filed their initial lawsuit against Ripple. Price then just crashed and crashed and crashed and crashed, right? In that circumstance, that was a devastating, catastrophic event that happened that caught the market entirely by surprise. It then proceeded to XRP being delisted off of exchanges after that. The SEC appealing the ruling is not blindsiding the market. It's not catastrophically surprising that's going to lead to a bunch of big consequences right now, unlike what happened back in 2020. Back then, selling, it's going to be delisted off of exchanges. You have the Grayscale XRP trust liquidating itself. That was a big catastrophic moment that happened. In this circumstance, this has now been 4 years, and there was light at the end of the tunnel. And so I'll speak on that, on everybody's disappointment and frustration, because I'm there with you. This has been going on for a very long time, and people are having to make a decision on whether or not is this going to continue going on for a very long time, and whether or not they're willing to go on that ride with it. That's disheartening. That's difficult. I don't have the right answer for everybody on that. And I want to let you know that any feelings that you are having of disappointment, frustration, feeling like this will never end, all of your feelings are absolutely valid. But markets don't have time to sit here and worry about our feelings. The show always goes on. So what I actually want to talk about in here on this price chart is actually things I've been talking about for the past week here on the YouTube channel. And this couldn't come at a more timely moment based on the things that we have been talking about with the breadth opening up, and as we've been talking about in here with accumulation schematics happening throughout the market. The last video that I put out specifically talked about these and how these accumulation schematics can look and having to work through that process before the market can turn itself back up. We talked all about different recovery structures in that video. I strongly suggest checking it out. Again, I am in the belief camp that the price of XRP can only go into any type of expansion or moonshot or whatever you want it to be in the event that the rest of the market is doing the same at the same time, because that is what has happened every single time. But the discussion we've been having for a little over a week now has been about this accumulation schematic, right? We saw the breadth open up in the market that is typically marked a reversal in the making. There haven't been any false signals on that dating back to 2020. And we've currently just been working on now building a range boundary that we're going to have to work out here for a minute in order to get another breakout. And the consistent theme about any type of recovery structure that happens is that they typically will have an ABC correction within them, as outlined right here. Looking down here at the bottom of the screen, eventually that once we come in and take out that floor, that is how we wrap up accumulation to then go back up and then start working on like a sign of strength phase to happen over in here. But before that, we will ABC, we'll take out the floor. For those who are here through 2022 and 2023, this is essentially exactly what we were going through. This is when we were talking about heading into the cruel summer. This is where the breadth markings show up for the first time in here, signaling a bottom. We then go on into an A, B, C correction. Notice it swipes out the floor happening in here, and then it goes into a sign of strength phase, and whoop, out it goes. I've shown other examples of that down in here, that even in these, right, you can actually be right there and then still have another push up to end up happening. And then we have to A, B, C our way down in here, take out that floor, work over here, work on a sign of strength, and then you can eventually go into breakout. And that these are processes to come off the floor and then go into accumulations and then get your way out. So if you haven't caught Monday's video, I suggest you check it out. This was also the discussion last week on accumulation schematics, that you either have the ABC long duration drawn out or you have the faster crash, retrace, reaccumulation. But on Monday, we talked all about the nuances of something like this happening because of how drawn out we were to the lows. That typically with these styles that are very slow, we actually have those lower accumulations that end up happening, similar to like these down in here and what we're talking about in here and like what I'm talking about here over on Twitter or X. Now, I get it. You're probably thinking to yourself, I tuned in here for an XRP video. Why are we talking about all this other stuff? And that's because they all link back to each other and what this accumulation schematic has been. Now, with the current action that's happening throughout the market in this particular pullback, the thoughts have really been it's more of like something like this happening in here in an accumulation. Hence why I posted this over here. I said, I'm not even convinced this is it yet when talking about an ABC correction actually setting itself in. That you could still see something along the lines of this before an ABC would set in, like so. Or that it's just kind of something like this here in the market, that we've gotten back to the range boundary over here, right? And that this fall may be occurring, but still that it's going to try to kind of work its way back up, and then it could set itself into an ABC from there. Kind of morphed a little bit here on XRP, but the concept identical. Still marking that that would be our bottom. But having all these conversations here for the last week about this and these different range boundaries and recovery structures and how they can play out, kind of couldn't come more timely because of what we actually have happening over there on XRP as we speak today, in the midst of this moment, to sit here and talk all about these different accumulation schematics, what they can look like, the ABCs that come in afterwards, and then really just take a look at what this whole thing has been over the course of the last 2 years, to see that every phase of what we have happening in here has happened in the accumulation schematic, including the ABC ending and this range built right here. And so what I'm going to show you is that there's no technical breaks that are happening here in the chart yet. Again, we are only 14 hours post this news dropping. Of course, it's a lot of uncertainty in this moment. And so I'm speaking for the moment that we're living in at this exact second, that things have not broken from here yet. That all these things have happened in here, including the ABC ending and being right in here right now for this accumulation schematic. And there's several structures to look at. And I really like this one because it's really actually just like identical to what we've actually been seeing happening over there. That every single little move and fib level of accumulation schematic and ABCs, they've all played out in here. Really identical to what it looks like when an ending is being formed in here. That the things we're talking about right now that I'm suspecting that the altcoin market is in and something like that right now, right? It gets another push up higher. Notice they both get back up here to the 382 Fibonacci retracement level. They both pull back and take back the whole move that ends up happening in here, only to then work on the B's and the C's in here to take out the lows, and the B's and the C's in here to take out the lows. And really, those two moves are quite interesting to look at up close and personal, because really they're absolutely identical in here for how an ABC would look. And I'm going to delete everything off this chart really fast to show how those conclusions can come in here. That just goes down and whipsaws it to take it out for your ABC, your ABC, and even ironically, they both just kind of do that, revisiting right back to that high for that second time in there to come down and swoosh through and do the liquidity grab in here, going really right back to take it all out to right back in here. The things that we've been talking about for the past week on the accumulation schematics happening over here in the altcoin market and what I'm looking for, those have essentially all happened over here on XRP already over the course of 2 years. Even doing the exact same size fibs in here on this particular range that we've been in now, to both get back to the 786, get back to the 786, and then flush right back down below the 50, right back down below the 50, essentially placing you into a final range of an accumulation schematic right there at the very end. And that all of this is already played out, and you're right there in the end. And the sell-off we're seeing today hasn't broken anything. It's still just ranging in the same range that it's been in for the last 2 months. And that this would be the very ending of the schematic right before things could actually get out of the range. And that even if we looked at it through this lens of even XRP's own specific behavior happening in here, conceptually the same thing. And that there's the range, there's the low, the revisit, and then all of that, right, ends up being that. And that the long range is in its final decision. And that these as well are just these pullbacks to close out these gaps and to flush out the liquidity in there. And again, this couldn't come any more timely, specifically because of the topics that we've been talking about here on the channel for the last videos and in Markets in the Morning and in members live streams and everything about the accumulation schematic and phases of being like this with where we are in the altcoin market currently right now, that we've literally been talking about this particular topic and this type of behavior. And now we get to actually see that in real life here on something that has gotten all the way to the end. And that's where we are right now. We're at the sign of strength phase. And currently with where it's at right now, nothing has broken. It is right there in that phase, in that ending, after already having flushed, tested, and now just trying to find its way out of here and stuck bouncing around in that last range to conclude accumulation. And so it begs the big question, is this the ultimate shakeout? Is this the ultimate 4 years and the breaking point can't take it anymore? That's it. And that's that final flush that just kind of washes people out at the last second before the thing turns up. I can't answer that question for you. I don't know what will happen next, but what I can point to is all the things that I've been relaying for the last week here on the YouTube channel, discussing accumulation schematics and how we've related that to the entire altcoin market and where it currently is right now, and relating that to what we have going on this chart at this exact time right now. And that what you can clearly see is every single phase of it has already played out in here for XRP. And this phase right now would be considered the sign of strength phase. And as we speak right now in this exact moment, it has not broken. I'm uncomfortable coming on here and saying, everything is going to be rainbows and sunshine. We're definitely going to the moon right now, because the chart specifically tells us that's what's going to happen next. And I'm definitely uncomfortable coming on here and saying, hey guys, remember what happened with the SEC back in 2020 when all this stuff occurred? A monstrous crash is coming next. Both of those are incredibly uncomfortable to be biased towards either one of them ending up happening. But what I can definitely do is show you the things that I've been talking about with accumulation schematics and showing you that every phase of it has played out in here and that the chart has not broken yet. And that this would be the final phase of the accumulation before the range would break to the upside if this accumulation stayed true. And so when I said I'm going to bring a message of hope and optimism at the beginning of the video, this is what I'm talking about. Is this the most romantic, washout, narrative-wise, breaking point moment of growth for everybody? I don't know, but it sure would make a perfect story of magical unicorn fairy dust if it would be. And I also don't know if it's going to do what happened back in 2020. But what I definitely see is the range is not broken. It's still just sitting right there in that, be it only 14, 15 hours since the news broke and things could change. But as I record this morning to say, hey, what do I see happening on the chart? These are the things that I see happening currently right now. And as of right now, nothing is broken. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on it. We'll watch it. And if things change, we'll acknowledge it. I'm not privy to any inside information. What I can try to do is just paint a picture of what's happening over here in the market and what's happening over here on the charts. And these are the things that I see and the things that I can share with you. So I hope you enjoyed it. This market has been falling since March. It's been down 58% over there in the altcoin market. It makes perfect sense to get some extremely negative news when sentiment is in the gutter. My bias is now bullish, albeit accumulation bullish and accumulation schematics. And well, we even see that over there on XRP. So hopefully things can pan out and we'll keep our eyes on it today. We'll probably cover it tomorrow as well. All right, that's going to be it. You guys can check out the newsletter over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. You can check out my website over here, bcbacker.com, with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Otherwise, I'll leave you on that note, and I hope it painted a little bit of a picture for you guys, at least from the angle that I'm viewing it at. And hopefully, this isn't another perfectly timed attack by the SEC, but instead the psychological breaking point of a market. But all right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.